Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. That's Friday Homeschool. I'm Mrs. T, and we have wrapped up our very first week of homeschool with my preschooler. So I wanted to give a little overview, discuss it with you all, and just kind of go into how it went. Before I go any further, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I have some more homeschooling content coming out here soon, and I would love for you to stick around. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. Now, we did cover a lot of stuff in this first week, and rather than going through each subject and each piece of material that we leveraged, I decided I wanted to touch base on 4 topics. First, I'm going to share with you some of our highlights and some of our difficulties that we encountered, and then I'm going to also share with you a couple of resources that we used that I didn't expect to use, and a couple that we thought we were going to use and we didn't for whatever reason. So let's go ahead and start with our highlights. First and foremost, one of our big highlights was Alpha Phonics this past week. We got through the first 4 lessons and we did lesson 3 twice, and we had a huge amount of success with my preschooler. He was so excited, and each day, each lesson, he definitely started to pick up the blending of the sounds and starting to read words from that very first lesson, which was amazing. Now, we coupled Alpha Phonics with Bob books, so we did just the first Bob book, which is called Matt, and by the end of the week, he was reading out loud Matt to us, though I will say it was probably mostly memorized by that time, but he was really excited to read the book to us at nighttime, which was really cool. So we have been incorporating him reading to us at bedtime while we do our normal nighttime reading routine. Thing 2 that I thought was really cool, our second highlight, was how much time we spent outdoors. We did a lot of time at the park, we did gardening, we went on a hike, we went to a zoo, and we just had a lot of time just getting messy, being out of doors, and I thought that was a really successful first week of purposeful outdoor time. And the third thing was actually our very first STEM activity. We did our first unit in the Evan Moore Smart Start STEM, and the activity or the challenge was to create a toy box. And preschooler actually came up with the materials, the design of it, and I helped him by cutting out the material, the cardboard, and I held the pieces together while he chose to tape them. And it was a really cool experience. Let me show you what he created. Here's his toy box. It has a functioning lid. He decorated. These are the handles that he chose to have to help it lift up and down. And he just had a really fun time creating it. And he was so proud of his creation that it was definitely a huge highlight of this past week. Okay, let's discuss now some of those difficulties that we encountered, because we definitely had quite a few. So the very first thing was we were originally planning on using Evan Moore's Skill Sharpeners, a full unit from their critical thinking book, in 1 week. And I realized pretty quickly that that just wasn't going to work for us. There were way too many worksheet pages, and while I really liked the content and it was good stuff to do and we enjoyed what we did, I'm glad that I kind of put the brakes on it a little bit, and we are now kind of making that last a little bit longer at this point in time. And I think that that was the right decision. You know, just sitting down and doing worksheets is really not the style of homeschooling that we want to do. He was starting to show a little bit of resistance, like almost immediately, to having worksheets. So we kind of slowed it down. The second thing that I will say that we are kind of struggled with this week is not specifically homeschool related, but it really affects homeschool, and that is sleep. Preschoolers, toddlers, you guys know sleep is not always easy, and that's one of the things that my husband and I have decided we really want to focus on, is improving the quality of sleep as a whole for the whole family, but specifically with toddler, because we found that sometimes the crabbiness comes out when we have a bad night's sleep, and we've been having more bad night sleeps than we really want. So we wanted to work a little bit on sleep, which we think will improve our quality of focus and learning. And thing 3 that we found to be a little bit difficult that we're going to have to work through is how to involve my toddler while doing preschool with my older child. He really likes doing his own he likes being involved. He likes sitting on the couch with us. He likes looking at things. So it started to become a little bit of a balancing act, and I think I'm gonna have to still work on it, where we figure out what toddler can be involved and how can he be involved, and maybe some low-key ways that will include him and he'll get that satisfaction while not taking away from the time and the topic that we want to discuss with preschooler. All right, so now I want to share with you guys two resources I didn't expect to use, but we did. The first one was from Kumon. It is their beginning cutting practice sheet or worksheet book thingy. I'll go ahead and put a picture up here. It's a really small flip notebook with some cutting sheets. Now, originally I pulled it out for toddler to do something while my preschooler was cutting out something from the Evan Moore book that we were doing, and both of them ended up wanting to do some, and they picked up this book I think 3 times over the week, and they did some practicing cutting together. And of course I was there and I was involved. I wasn't just letting them run around with scissors, but I wasn't expecting us to have like specific cutting practice, but they really wanted to, and I thought that that was really cool. The other resource that I did not expect to use that worked out really well was actually a YouTube video that we watched multiple times. I'm going to link it down below, but it is a reading of Grasshopper Gus, which is a picture book, and it is read by one person, and then next to them is an ASL teacher from a high school, I believe is what they said, and she is signing the story as it's being read aloud, which was perfect because our first unit through that Skill Sharpeners book was all about grasshoppers and butterflies. And so finding this book, we were able to tie in sign language, and in a way that I was not planning, I was not expecting. I just happened to Google it and find it, and it worked out really, really well. Okay, now let's go over 2 things that we thought we were going to use, and we just didn't. The first one is Explode the Code. We were originally planning on kind of pulling it in to help supplement phonics, but honestly, you guys, Alpha Phonics with Bob was such a success that it would have felt like overkill. So I decided not even to go there. We are not saying we're never going to do Explode the Code. It just didn't work out this past week, but it's still there with my curriculum or my curricula options, and I'm hoping that we can leverage it again. I think we'll be able to, but last week just wasn't the week, and that's totally okay. The other one I was actually really surprised we didn't do, and that was Messy Maths. I had picked out 2 different activities that I had intended for us to do while we were outdoors. Now, we spent a lot of time outdoors, but every time I tried to do the activity, I was kind of a little bit clunky and awkward about it, and my kid immediately put on the brakes and he's like, "Mom, I just want to play. I don't want to do math." I was like, okay, that's totally fine. So I think what I need to do is be a little bit more strategic about it and a little less obvious, if that makes sense. Make it a little bit more play, maybe get it all prepared, or I can start doing the activity. And I think he and, toddler will come together and want to be involved as well. All right, so final takeaway of week 1. Guys, it was such a good, rewarding first start. I am so just beyond thrilled and happy about it. It had some really amazing times. It had some difficult times. I've learned a lot in this first week, and I'm really excited to learn more. I will be coming back with you guys and letting you know how it goes, and as well as give more in depth about what pieces of curriculum we're finding ourselves turning to, or maybe choosing not to do for whatever reason. So make sure you stick around, hit that like and subscribe button, and I will talk to you guys very soon. You have a good one.